Hello everyone, and welcome to another video on the Talkin' Amazings with JB YouTube channel. Before we get into today's video, be sure to leave this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and of course share it with anyone you know. Today's video, something that I think that was cool of an idea for me was to conduct what I call the Mets ALL-60 team. So this season, the Mets are celebrating their 60th anniversary as a franchise. So I'm pretty sure all these media outlets that are affiliated with the Mets are going to conduct their own ALL-60 teams, like these teams that compiled of the greatest Mets players in franchise history. So I figured to start off today is what would be my own version of the Mets ALL-60 team. The plan for me is to split up all my ALL-60 team into separate videos. So today I'm going to be focusing on my starting pitching staff for the Mets ALL-60 team, and my other positions, be sure to be on the lookout throughout the whole year, as besides starting pitching, I want to compile a bullpen, a catching position, first base, second base, third baseman, shortstop, and the outfield, of course. And probably a bench, backups for all those positions. And ultimately, it's just a way to celebrate the Mets and their 60 years as a team. Getting our pitching staff for this Mets ALL-60 team, of course, the ace of this staff has to be Tom Seaver, because who else would be the ace of this ALL-60 staff? Because Tom Seaver is the best pitcher that the Mets franchise has ever had. Tom Seaver's nickname is known as the franchise, and really he was the franchise. This was a Mets team in 1962 that began their birth as a team with a 40-120 record. That's one of the worst records in Major League history. And Tom Seaver would come up in 1967 with the Mets, and his impact was felt throughout his 12 seasons as a Met, from 1967 to 1977, and he came back in 1983. 2 years after he was called up in 1967, we know about the Miracle Mets team in 1969 as they upsetted the heavily favored Baltimore Orioles in the 1969 World Series to give the franchise its first World Series title. But besides Seaver's importance to that 1969 team, Seaver, like I said, is the best pitcher the team's ever had, and the numbers just back it up. His 12 seasons with the Mets, he posted a 198 and 124 record, a 2.57 earned run against average in 3,045 innings and two-third innings, 2,541 strikeouts, a 2.67 fielding independent pitching, a 136 ERA plus, a 1.076 walks hits per 9 inning. He won 3 Cy Youngs with the team in 1969, 1973, and 1975. Seaver ranks first in WAR for pitching with the Mets with a 76.1. He's second in terms of ERA for the franchise. He's first in wins, first in strikeouts, first in games started with 395. He's first in complete games with 171. Jesus. Shutouts with 44, which we're not going to see again. His base out runs saved, he's the leader in franchise history for 387.68. A WPA of 43.7, that ranks first. Situations wins saved, he's 38.1, that's first as well. Moving on to my number 2 of the staff, and I know I might get some flake by this because he's technically an active player, but for my number 2 of this pitching staff, it has to be the one, the only, the deGrominator, Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom has to be the number 2 in my opinion, and Yes, I know he's still playing with the Mets, and his legacy still hasn't been defined yet with the Mets, but I think it makes the most sense for him to be the number two because, in my opinion, I think he's been the Mets' best pitcher since Tom Seaver. And really, the numbers back it up for deGrom. He's only pitched 8 years with this team. He's already in the top five, even in the top three in a lot of the franchise's pitching numbers, which is just singling what deGrom's dominance in his career so far. Has a 77-53 record. He's third in pitching WAR with a 40.7. He is the franchise's leader in ERA with a 2.50 ERA. He's ninth in wins. He is the all-time leader in WHIP with a 1.011. He's the all-time leader in strikeouts per nine with a 10.736. He's fourth already in strikeouts for the franchise with 1,505. He's eighth in games started with 198. His strikeout to walks is 5.0102, which is first. His fielding independent pitching is first with a 2.64. He has a 157 ERA plus. He's second in WPA with a 23.8. Second in base out runs saved, RA24 with a 222.59. He's second in adjusted pitching wins with a 22.5. Second in adjusted pitching runs with a 20.8 or 208. Second in RAW with a 25.1. And situation wins saved, he's second with a 23.5. Three in my staff. I'm picking a lefty to break up the two righties, and my number 30 is going to be number 36, Jerry Koosman. Jerry Koosman's number 36 was recently retired by the Mets during the 2021 season, and he compiled a 140 and 137 record, and a lot of people will say that's a pretty mediocre record, but he was around for a Mets team in the majority of the 1970s that was a mediocre team after they traded Tom Seaver. And like Seaver and deGrom, he's up there in terms of the franchise's pitching records and all-time numbers. He's third in wins for the team with 140. He's fourth in pitching WAR for 39.5. He has the second most games started with the team with 346. He's second in complete games with 108. Yikes again. He's second in shutouts with 226, which shows how much different of a game it was back in those days compared to now. He's seventh in fielding independent pitching with a 3.12. He's fifth in adjusted pitching runs with a 116. Adjusted pitching wins, he's fourth with a 13.1. He's fifth in base out runs saved with a 134.01. He's fourth in WPA, which is win probability added, with a 19.3. He's sixth in situation wins saved with a 12.6. He's fourth in base out wins saved with a 15.4. And he's third in championship winning probability added with an 18.6. Now, number 4 of my staff has to be number 16, Gooden, or as many know him, Dwight Gooden. Just another dominant pitcher in Mets history. In 11 seasons from 1984 to 1994, he is third in pitching wins for the franchise with 157 and posted 157-85 record with the team. He's second in WAR for pitching with a 41.6. He's third in adjusted pitching runs with 131. Also third in adjusted pitching wins with 15. RE24, he has 167.10. He's tied for 7th in ERA with the team with 3.10. He has a win probability added of 20.1, which is 3rd in franchise history. WPA/LI, he's 3rd with an 18.9. He's 8th in WHIP with a 1.175. Championship win probability added, he's 1st with a 26.5. He's 3rd in innings pitched with 2,169 2/3 innings. REW, he's 3rd in with 19.7. 2nd in strikeouts for the franchise with 1,875. He's 3rd in games started with 303. He's 3rd in complete games with 67. 4th in shutouts with 23, and 11th in ERA plus with 116. And is also 3rd in fielding independent pitching with a 2.77. So some people might switch Doc Gooden with Jerry Koosman, or Jerry Koosman's ahead of Doc Gooden, but for me, I have to put Doc in number 4. 5, yes, the final arm in my rotation. My number 5 is going to be lefty, number 22, Leiter. And Leiter was arguably the best pitcher the Mets had near the end of the 90s into the early 2000s. And really in a short period with the Mets, he's up there in terms of franchise pitching numbers. And he pitched for the team from 1998 to 2004 in 7 years. And he's, a lot of his numbers, he's actually 5th to 7th, which is impressive for such a short period with the team. So, getting into his numbers, again, my lovely stat sheet, he's 5th in pitching WAR with a 28. He's 6th in wins with 95. He's 6th in games started with 213. He's 8th in ERA plus with 124. He's 4th in adjusted pitching wins with a 124. He's 5th in adjusted pitching wins with a 12.6. 4th in base out run saved with 135.34. He's 6th in win probability added with a 14.3. He's 7th in situation wins saved, which is WPA/LI, with a 9.4. He's 5th in championship win probability added with a 13.4. REW, he's 5th with a 14.1. So it makes sense for Leiter to be my number 5. That's my pitching staff. So Tom Seaver's my ace. Jacob deGrom would be my number 2. Jerry Koosman's my number 3. Doc Gooden, your number 4. And Leiter, your number 5. And really, when picking all these pitchers, basically I wanted to go based on all the numbers, like all those numbers I put out there, but also I wanted to pick really the most dominant pitchers from any of the 6 decades this team's been around. So really, Tom Seaver and Jerry Koosman, they were the dominant guys from the 60s to 70s for the team. Doc Gooden was the dominant guy from the 80s to early 90s, and Leiter was the dominant guy from the end of the 90s to early 2000s, and then Jacob deGrom is the guy of the 2010s going into the 2020s. So that's really how I tried to base picking my 5 guys out of. So I want to hear from all you guys, and what would you make your all-60 team rotation to be? And do you feel like I left anyone out? And if so, feel free to leave a comment. And I look forward to reading some of those comments, because really, I don't want this all-60 team to be a thing of controversy or takes and all that, but I just think it would be something fun to do to celebrate the Mets' 60th anniversary. And like I said before, besides this pitching rotation, I'm going to look into other positions. So stay tuned to more videos of my Mets All-60 team. And of course, before I sign off, be sure to leave this video a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Hit that bell icon notification to get notifications on the latest videos. And of course, share it with anyone you think would find this video interesting. So, Talking Amazings with JB, signing out. And I hope you guys have a good one.